Hello, this is Draco. I wanted to do this video as we yesterday managed to get a trophy in a Modern League with this Merfolk deck here. So I've been running a lot of different Merfolk lists and this one worked out really well. So I recorded all the matches and I'm gonna go through everything today. 5-0, both against Ragavans, against different decks like Charbelcher. So it was a good run. So I just want to go through the deck real fast, and then we can go through the matches and watch all the games in double speed, so it goes fast and efficient. So this deck is of course running the new Neon Land Otawara. This performed really well in yesterday's Modern League, so watch out for that. We also got some, of course, the natural Ether Vials, the Tide Chippers, but notice here that we actually are running also a 4th set of Spreading Seas. And one of the things that worked really well in our strategy was to be able to mana deny and generally interrupt our opponents a lot with 8 types of this effect. That worked really well, and stacking up on the effect has been strong when in testing. We run all the natural 2-drops. Of course, Silvergill Adepts is really strong to give us card advantage. We got all the Lords, as this deck wants to interrupt them, and then at some point put the final pressure on by dropping a couple of Lords and finishing up the deal real fast. And of course, Tricksters is also great. We run 3 main deck negation just to protect ourselves, and we want of course Svyelun. Again, this card was MVP in the Modern League, so I gotta say again, this is so great. Get it out early, don't hesitate to play it out, even though it can be indestructible at the moment. Be aware of what the opponents have in their hand, then this card can be amazing. It is amazing. Mana base, we got 19 lands and 2 Glasspool Mimics. I don't want to stack up too many Glasspool Mimics. They perform decently well, but sometimes they are a bit clunky. The mana base can be rough. Now we only got 8 basic islands, due to we also want the Muda Vaults. The sideboard, we got the Subtleties. They also performed well here. We against elementals, against different other creature decks. I want to have more interaction. That's why I put in 2 Vapor Snacks in the main deck and 2 Brazen Borrowers in the sideboard, so you can side that in. Now we have Otawaras, Vapor Snacks, and Brazen Borrowers to interact with our opponents. Previously I played Gutshot, it's just too narrow. So now we try these couple of Vapor Snacks instead. And of course, Skydivers for the Hammer Time matchup and General Artifact matchups, Relics against different types of graveyard strategies, and also of course with the Ragavan decks who typically utilizes the graveyard, and then 4 counter spells which are great again in combo matchups. Notice here we run a couple of Benthic Biomancies. I want a critical mass of Merfolk, so the Ether Vials are performing well. So just to put in a couple of more 1-drops, and these were okay. Let's get into the matches. Okay, so this was the first match. See here we run into. I think actually first time around we were. Okay, skip ahead. Okay. So we have this hand again. Notice with double seize effect they have Lurrus in the deck, but this double seize effect makes us want to keep this hand. We put down, we have Mulligan 1 here, we put that away the force. Exactly because of things like Salt Seas, we can't let ourselves get denied too much resources. They actually remove our Tide Chipper. So that's a pretty bad draw with the Muda Vault. Doesn't really matter. So notice here 2 basic islands, 2 basic lands, and they Ragavan in. So this is actually an interesting spot. Normally, you would argue in this situation, you know, we got to get the Ragavan off the board. I think we even draw an island here. We draw a burrow. So now we can actually play the Trickster. So the consideration is here, do we want to play the Trickster and to block it, or to bash it? But instead we actually act to try to deny them the mana resource, because if they want to use a treasure token to dash in the Ragavan again, that's fine by us. And if we just put down the Trickster, he could just have a Lightning Bolt and kill us and start getting the value again. So now he needs to remove the treasure token to get another hit in. That's absolutely fine for us. And again, notice here he didn't play a land, so noticing here that we have the option of continuously deny him, we also check out the Black Source. This is a huge frustration for him. This mana base from the Ragavan decks is typically really greedy, so if you can actually try to get them out of the balance, this can be really strong. So here he chooses again to dash And yeah, we let us take the third hit here. He actually hits something, which is pretty good for him, because he can play the Benthic Biomancer. And in this situation, this actually means that our Lord is kind of annoying, as it also buffs his Biomancer. And because of the island, he can also adapt his own Biomancer. So this was really unlucky. But anyway, we play on, of course. Yeah, considering what to do. Either you're gonna play the Lord and play the Trickster to be able to block, but rather instead of that, we rather want to just play the Ether Vial and then just Trickster down the Ragavan when it comes in and just take the 1 or 2 damage from the Biomancer. That really doesn't matter that much. So he starts by searching for a land. I actually think he finds one here. Yeah, there's a Water Grave. This is good for him. So we're just waiting here. We don't actually want to trade with the Biomancer for the Trickster. The Trickster is good for us. Again, we're playing the patient game. We just want to deny him, and then at some point we can hit him back. Normally, everybody would be thinking, let's play the Trickster here, but I actually think we wait, because we want to use that to deny him the Ragavan interaction next turn. So now we just simply chill, and that was a great draw, Svyelun. We consider what to play here. We only have the Vial on 1, can't get anything in. But the great play here is to actually play the Svyelun and just have double activation of a Mutavault, which means our Svyelun is technically indestructible at this moment. What can he use now to kill it? Fatal Push would be one of the things if he could sack the treasure token and Fatal Push the Svyelun, but now we can even protect that from Mutavault. He don't have no mana for either the Delirium spell for red that burns for 6. On the lightning bolt is not big enough. So see here what he does. I think he actually just expressive iteration, and he chills a bit. And now the expressive iteration, he found the color against command. That seemed like it was really bad for us, but actually, removing the Vial this time, we don't have that much time. That doesn't really matter. The Lord of Atlantis was actually a backdrop anyway, so let's just discard that. Even though it was annoying initially that he got a 2-for-1, it's not that bad. Also because our Svyelun can now start attacking in and getting us card advantage. Of course, we need to be aware now of his 7 cards in hand. But luckily we drew the Tidechipper. This means that we can start denying. Notice here the play, because this is of course would be optimal to play the Master first, but we want the maximum information, so we choose to wait on the Master and say let's just get the 3 damage in. That shouldn't change that much. And now we actually get the opportunity from the Glassbone Mimic to get a play where we can next turn double Lord, which can be really strong. So here we want to Tidechipper again, eliminating his red source. And just keep up Trickster. This is just the most safe play to set up the lethal strike next turn or set up the dominant pump position. So he finds another land. Again, now he needs to shock himself a lot to unholy heat the Tidechipper. You can really see going for the Tidechipper, meaning that he has been so annoyed by these mana denial strategy that he needs to get the Tidechipper off board so he can start playing his spells. So this is where the 8 Seas effect is really strong. He plays the Death Shadow. We can tap it down, it doesn't matter that much, but of course we want to get the Trickster in now so we can put on the pressure and eliminate him from the game. He actually Drowner locks this play, which makes a lot of sense. So now we're looking into, what can we draw here to do the final win? But we got the win on board. The Master and the Mutavault means that we have exactly 7 damages. He's tapped out, so we managed to stall him out long enough and finally put the nail in the coffin. So let's look at sideboard. So sideboarding strategy is again difficult here. One of the things you can always consider, since they're running a lot of interaction, like Thoughtseize and removal spells, is they're playing a lot of the one for one game. And the Evile can be difficult here, because if you Thoughtseize is one of our good plays with Ether Vial, it starts diminishing in value. That's why you want to consider cutting the Ether Vial in these matchups. Counter spells is not that hot either, because all his spells are really low to the ground, 1-costed spells. So that's not as interesting to play. The Force of Negation is not that strong because he has many small spells, many cheap spells. So what we're considering here is what we're gonna take out of the deck. As here we've typed considering putting in the counter spell, but again the counter spells is too slow. So we are so it's consider here the Brazen Borrower is good because you can keep up. You can interact with them and just put pressure on. It's not a great plan, but it's something. Actually, in this game you can see why the counterspell is not that strong. Yeah, this is the dream start for him and the nightmare start for us because we have no 1-drops. We have no Gutshot in this matchup. So actually a good draw drawing the Relic, but you can see here the big problem. Starts hitting us with Ragavan without us temping off. That's why it's so strong to be on the play against this this opponent. These Ragavan decks. He actually plays a Spreading Seas here, which is, I think is an interesting play. I know that the Ragavan players are talking a lot about needing to maximize the value of each of their top effects for Ragavan. This just seems a bit greedy. He gets only one. So he plays out a Dragon Rage Chancellor. This of course is a really strong starting play. But our Relic is going to hold him down on cards a bit. So now we're considering here, the problem is that the natural play would be to play the Adept. The Adept is going to get burned out, and then he'll hit in and start getting more value, and he'll even get the Surveil trigger from Dragon Rage Calendar. So it's actually better just to see if you can Trickster the Ragavan. So if he chooses to kill the Trickster, he won't get the Ragavan value, but he will kill it anyways to get the Dragon Rage Channeler through and get the Surveil effect. Yeah, Unholy Heat, that was. So this would be a catastrophe if we ever played the Adept, because now then he would have hitting in with the Ragavan as well. We draw the Trickster again. So of course we wanna do the same exact thing. No, nothing has changed for us. It's still the correct play. Tapping down the Ragavan is absolutely fine. Again, Unholy Heat. Again, Dragon Rage Challenger. The problem here is that even though this is actually fine that we're eliminating his value from Ragavan, he's getting so much value in card selection from Dragon Rage Challenger. Now that the Death Shadow is online as well, that's also a problem. And now the counterspell, as you notice here, it's just burning in our hands. What could we have done? Could we have sit and hold up a counterspell? Letting Ragavan hit us? I don't see that as an option. So in that situation, here is where it got example of why counterspell is just so, yeah, behind the curve. We play the Adept because we want to now say, let's trade. Maybe he's exhausted his resources, and we can hold up the counterspell to protect our Adept. Of course, drawing the Tidetipper means that we have a discussion now. What is the plan? Should we change that strategy now and try to eliminate mana? We try to do that. Also because if he has a removal spell and we counter that, it's not just the same as having another Tidetipper on the board, another creature on the board. So that's why this is the correct play, putting 2 blockers out. It doesn't work out, but that's still the right play. You see, he can immediately Unholy Heat it. Expensive iteration, this is where the value engine just goes off. When they got these kind of draws on the play, it's just a really, really low success rate of winning. Now his Death Shadow is getting stronger as well. We are tapped out, one blocker down, and his Dragon Rage Channeler is a 3/3 flying. He even draws to Terminate so he can get in with the Ragavan. And I say, let's get to the next game. That's just a perfect draw for him. continuously top decking the removal spells. I think he had like 4 or 5 removal spells in this situation. So again, reconsidering, of course, you want to do this. The counterspell, again, it looked really bad. The Vapor Snacks, also a bit slow. Here's a consideration, but actually what we want to do here is we just want to get the Thieving Skydivers in. This could be a bit interesting, but because why? They have no really artifacts. But instead of being, sitting being proactive with 2 counterspells on hand, maybe it's just better to have a 2/1 flyer. This is the argument. So we just lead on that. So we go turn 1, Benthic Biomancer. This is actually a decent hand because you got all the threats lined up. I think he started by Thought Seizing us, which is annoying because now he can take out our Svyelun. But I don't understand this exactly, but he actually thinks, I think he takes our Lord, yeah. This is weird because I know that he might be afraid of the fast draw, but the Lord is just not as big of a threat as the Svyelun. We have also 8 Lords, so we will draw on here, and it also means that we can use our Benthic Biomancer turn 2, which is fine to loot away Waterlog Grove and get in for 2 damage anyways. So I don't really see the value behind that choice. Notice here he got a greedy stuck. He stuck on 1 land. That was just hopeless to keep that hand. In this situation, we now consider, okay, we still gotta put a maximum amount of pressure on. So the Svyelun is the right play, because what can he actually do to destroy it? There's not that much that can kill it at this moment. And getting that down fast is strong. In this situation right now, he can't even top deck and drown the Locket. He would have been able to do that if he had a Master of the Pearl Trident. Now he used the Lightning Bolt. Now he could actually drown the Locket if he top decks. But it's still the right play. Getting the biggest threat down. You don't want to sit and hold your Svyelun's until it's too late to start the value engine. Luckily he doesn't draw a land. He draws a Ragavan. And again, we want to see what's going on. This was actually a great draw because now we can deny him mana even more. And you can again see why this is such a strong strategy. And we were considering here, do we just bounce the Ragavan? But actually, it's the wrong play. We wanna keep putting pressure on. And again, we attack first to get the maximum amount of. We could have did 1 more damage, but here actually it's interesting because the Adept was actually a great draw. This gives us a lot better blocker on the Ragavan, and would be a better play than the Merfolk Master of the Pearl Trident. Of course, we need to attack to get the damage in, but if we had played the Master first, we were sitting in a situation if we should block with the Master. Now instead we can just block with the Silvergill Adept and double play double Lord next turn. So get Drowns on the lock, that's pretty good for him. He can take out the Svyelun. So looking back on this play, of course, a situation could have been better, maybe to just, instead of playing the Spreading Seas in that situation, you could have double lorded. But anyways, as you see, we draw a lot of Svyeluns. Here we can either double lord or Svyelun. The problem with Svyelun is if he has another drown the lock, he can just remove that threat. And double lord gives us a lot of pressure, as we now have 2 3/3s and he's on 7. So he needs to answer both of these threats. Still, a consideration is he could have Death Shadow, but here the Brazen Borrower is just awesome because it can give us the tempo swing we need. So what do we do now? Do we want to play Svyelun first, so he needs to interact now before the war trigger? I think that would be a great play. So let's get that online, and now he tries to unlock the Master. Goes to 5. And notice here we want to play the Relic. There's nothing we can Brazen Borrow that makes a lot of sense in his turn. And this way we also have Muda Vault activation up, so Svyelun is indestructible if he has his 3rd round lock. Yeah, and he's done for. Let's go to the next round. Oh, that's pretty fast. Interesting hand this, but it's good. You got a lot of interaction. We don't know the deck we're playing again. It's a slow hand, but we got Force of Negation to protect us. We got the Svyelun and we got the Spreading Sea. So we're actually considering just keeping this hand, even though that could be, you know, it could end out poorly. But I think it's the correct keep. So here, considering what we want to do we want to play the Glasspool Mimic so we can make sure we can Svyelun on turn 3, or want to keep the Glasspool Mimic so we can pitch it to Force? If we play the Mimic, we need to pitch the Force to Force, otherwise we are too much back on draws. But considering that you have 3 draws, because the Spreading Seas gives us an extra draw, we should be like 70% chance at least to draw another source of to play Svyelun on. It can also be a Mutterwald, that would be fine. So we choose to play the island, and we see immediately that we are again Ursa's Tower, which means that this is Tron. And since he's playing Chromatic Star, it's actually it's gonna be normal Tron. Notice here we're gonna force the Chromatic Star just to interact with them as much as possible, just to get them to be in the back foot as much as possible. And we immediately Spreading Seas the Ursa's Tower. He plays an expedition map again. This is really aggressive, but we really just want them to be stalled as much as possible in the early stages. We didn't draw that land, which we had so many chances to do, which is, you know, unlucky. But in this situation, he is really screwed now. He was gambling a lot on the activations from these early artifacts, so he's stuck on lands we can put pressure on with adepts and lords. He draws the mine. We now draw on our island, so now we can play our Svyelun. And now he needs to put down some defense real fast, otherwise we'll just pressure him out with the master. So we can see the forest come down. So this means it's green Tron. We knew that already, and he couldn't find the answers in time. So against Tron, green Tron, of course we want to keep in all the interaction we have for the land, Spreading Seas and Ether Vials, but we want to put in subtleties because it takes care of their planeswalkers, and also takes care of if he taps out for a really big artifact creature. So again, considering what to do, we took out the Vapor Snags. They are not playing early game creatures. We take out just one Svyelun. All our other stuff is pretty good here. And again, this is a great hand. We have double Spreading Seas. That's exactly what we want against him. And we even have a Vial on turn 1. He immediately goes, keep 7 cards, plays Ursa's Power Plant. That's also, you know, something that you need to be aware of. This means that we probably are needing to Spreading Seas immediately next turn. He could have Natural Tron. He didn't, though, so he played Yavimaya. Take up the Vial. Here, Tideshaper is a better play than the Spreading Seas. He might have Dismember, but he also might have the new land that can be a disenchant, Boseiju. So if he does that on Spreading Seas, it's better to have the pressure with the 2-drop. So we want to play the Tideshaper. He plays the Ursa's Mine, and we draw land, which is a perfect draw. Now we can both cheat in a Lord, and we can also Spreading Seas. We immediately Spreading Seas because we just want to get those lands down. But here he actually has the answer, the Veil of Summer, which is a great play, because now he can, not only does it mean that his Spreading Seas not getting hit, we don't get our return on the draw. So this is a perfect play for him. Great Veil of Summer. So instead we just want to put the pressure, we put down a Lord just to get in for 3. And play the Waterlogged Grove. This was of course unfortunate and well played by him. But luckily we have another Spreading Seas, which is, again, if we look back on the main deck choices for the deck, we run all the Spreading Seas. It's so strong because they if you have a critical mass of this type of effect, it'll just be sometimes a snowball effect on them, where we can deny them a lot. And that's why I also want to play 8 Lords if you play 8 this type of effect, because combining those 2 cards is just strong. We don't tick the Vial up because we have so many 2-drops, and this allows us to start beating in hard. But again, in this situation, we still have the problem because he has both a plant and a mine online. So we need to Spreading Seas again. And here we're just considering which land to Spreading Seas. I think we take the mine. If he kills the Tide Shaper, the power plant will go online. So yeah, he's looking for an answer. He didn't find the other Veil of Summer, so that's good for us. Now we can just play Double Lord and swing in. And I actually think this is a wrong play in retrospect, because if he had Engineered Explosives, he can now destroy a board. And I know we would be beating in, but the difference between him being on 8 or 10, it doesn't really matter. So we should not have used the Ether Vial in this situation. We should simply just have started by just playing the Lord and attacking, going down to 10, and then we would be able to put down 2 threats with the Moon of Vault and Lord next turn. So we go to next turn, now 2-0. Again, great hand. We start by having the Ether Vial, a Flooded Strand, which can mean anything. This could be UV Control, this could be Elementals, or the 4-card value deck. We play out the Adept with the Violent one, and I think actually what happens here is that he's going to Prismatic Ending our Ether Vial. And he has Yorion. So this means that we are considering if this is just the expensive value deck, 4-color Yorion. He played the Rank Green Triumph, and I think he plays another dual land. So now we're just sitting and waiting. Is this Renin 6? If it's Renin 6, we really want to kill it, take it out with the Force, because Renin 6 killing the Adept is just so strong right now. But it's not Renin 6. I think he's going to Prismatic Ending our Ether Vial. And then we got to consider, do we want to play the Tide Shepherd to put pressure on? Or do we want to... It's actually March of the Otherworldly Light. Again, considering, do we want to counter this? But it's not worth to counter it. But we want to get the 2-2 in play, because this deck we need to pressure it. And this also means that if we drew our land there, we could have played Svyelun if we drew the island, and it would have been indestructible. Instead, we're now taking down the Triumph. We were considering here which land to take out. Do we want to remove his green source or his white source? That's actually a difficult choice, but we choose to take the white source after long consideration. Getting him down to 12. It's beginning to hurt. Unholy Heat. Yeah. That's actually something we're considering, because it might screw him over, and the Svyelun is not really important to have 2 of. So in this situation, keeping the pressure on and alleviating and keep pressuring his mana, we choose to prioritize that. So now, notice here, he needs to evoke the Solitude just to get his Triumph back online. So it seemed like it was a correct choice to both force and also do this with the Triumph, because he needs his mana. So again, the Tide Shaper shows real value. Look at how much resources he throws after the thing. He plays down the Renin 6. This is horrible for us, of course, and we would have loved to be able to force that. So now he shoots down the Adept. I think it's a correct play. He needs to get some pressure alleviated. Great draw here. We can play Svyelun and we can kill Renin 6 with the Tide Shaper, and we even are able to protect our Svyelun with the Mood of Vault activation, which will leave it indestructible. But of course, Prismatic Ending is still gonna kill Svyelun, so we're just crossing our fingers, no more here. But actually, I think he passes here. So here we want to think really hard about what to do. If we can't play the Adept anyway, so we're just gonna activate one Mood of Vault, because if he activates both, he could Fury at some point, killing the Svyelun without us being able to doing it indestructible. Now we were lucky enough to draw the Svyelun, so we can now play the Adept, because we needed to reveal the Merfolk from our hand. And now we have, even in his turn, 2 Merfolk, which leaves the Svyelun indestructible. 3 cards in hand. I think he plays Omnath. This is actually really interesting, because the Omnath is going to give him a lot of life. He also has an immediately fetch land. So this is so crazy, because now he can go up. He goes up to 7. He goes up to 11 when he fetches, which will leave us out of burn range. and he can even block the creatures. So considering what to do here, the Vapor Snag is of course great. So we need to be able to do the absolute maximum damage. We need to kill him now. Oboro was a great draw because now we can activate both our Motor Balls and have Vapor Snag up. So we're considering what to do here. We could bounce the Omnath, but then it gets the 4 life. We could also just attack. And then when he bounces the Winesweep, when he uses the Wines head, we can then bounce it. So we attack here. He decides to use that now instead of blocking. And then we can Vapor Snag and kill him. So we need the subtleties. We see a lot of these elementals coming in. They're really strong. Solitude is amazing. So of course we need our subtleties. The Vapor Snags is not that hot, so we're considering cutting those. And maybe subtleties is the only thing that really makes sense to put in. Also, we like the deck in general. He's such a greedy mana base that the Spreading Seas are still good. Don't want to cut those. And a lot of non-creature spells means that Force of Negation could be decent, but we're considering it anyways. Also because a lot of its removal is based on these elementals. And the Benthic Biomancer is just a bit boring, so just to take one of those out. That's also one of the things with that card, is that it's easily cuttable if you just need to find 1 or 2 more cuts. It's just really not that important. It's fine. And also one of the things I like about the Benthic Biomancer is that late game it's a decent top deck because it's just 3 mana to play it, make it a 2/2, and get a new card. So he plays the Triumph again. We get the Ether Vial start, which is good for us. Prismatic Ending immediately, which is of course really good and good play by him. But notice here we can take down the Triumph again with Tideshipper. We love the fact that we can mana deny him a bit here. He's out of now no red and white sources, and immediately can't play anything. So we drop a land now. In this situation again, do we just want to play Svyelun? It's perfect mana units. We have 2. He needs a white source immediately to Prismatic Ending this Svyelun, so that's the only thing he can do. Otherwise he can of course evoke something to do it, but we have the place here, so we want to do this now. And I don't think he draws the white source. Instead he chooses to evoke Solitude, which is what's going to happen if it were indestructible or not. So now he throws 2 cards away on our Svyelun and we have 1 more. This is again where it gets tricky, because we can't double spell. We just want to play the Svyelun. If this Mimic would be an island, I would have played double 1 Lord and hold up Trickster. Since it's not, I want to maximize our mana value. And again, now we play the Shore, so next time we are guaranteed a double Lord play. He uses Fury now, which is of course where the Indestructible would have been great. But again, he's throwing away 2 cards, so I still think it's the correct play to do that. We drew the land here, which is of course not great since we just used our Shore. But we can still double Lord. And the reason why we double Lord is that now we take the Lord out of Unholy Heat range. And he can't handle it anymore. Okay. Next match, now we are 3-0. And we get a decent hand here. Actually a really good hand. Ether Vial. And notice here, immediately we see Valakut Awakening. This means that it's most likely going to be Charbelcher, which is of course a bit scary, as our hand have no interaction. So immediately we start thinking, what do we need against Charbelcher to do? And either you can play the Adept to start, see if you can drawing the Force, but we choose instead actually to go for the Tideshipper. Considering here, if we play the Tideshipper, should we play the Mutavault so we can attack with it, or the Waterlogged Grove? The life against the Charbelcher deck doesn't make any sense. And maybe there's a situation where in turn 4 you want to double Lord. So we're not going to attack with Mutavault anyway, so I think the correct play is here to play the Waterlogged Grove, saying let's take the damage. Play the Tideshipper, taking him off red. The red mana is important for the Charbelcher decks, as they try to cast a lot of spells to generate more red mana, so they can, speed out their combo. So we draw a Lord. This is great, and we can Violin. We want Violin added. We just want to get information here. So we draw Svyelun. So this situation, we want to consider maximum damage or Svyelun. I choose to do Svyelun essentially because this gives us more draws to hit our Force of Negation. And now he can actually start doing something. We're a bit scared now, and the Chapelter comes down. This is an issue, and we want to consider what to do now. It would be great to draw the Force in this situation. We play the Lord, and we attack with a Mutavault. We put down the Lord. Yeah. So actually the situation here was that we had lethal here. This was great because yeah, I was just looking at the clock, but I knew that drawing an island meant that we can actually be lethal. 15 damage in that turn, and next turn he could have Char Belchered. So the island was the necessary draw, which were of course perfect. But again, sitting and considering what to do there, you need to be aware of your outs. And if an island is an out, then you're pretty live. This is of course interesting sideboard. And we really want to take out everything that can be a threat. So we need counter spells a lot. We need to counter his interaction. So 4 counter spells is good, really good, and the 3 forces of course gonna stay in. Vapor Snack does nothing. Spreading Seas is too slow against him, even though it was decently to hit his mana here, but it's not a viable strategy. It was Finder's Hand, but that game. Really good hand here. We got the Force, that's exactly what we need. And we have the Tide Shaper and the Vial. So, down goes the Vial. Place a land more. We take up the Vial. Considering here, should we try to mana deny him or should we Silvergill Adept? The reason why we choose to Tide Shaper is to try to again stall him out, hold him off red as much as possible, and then we can next turn we can Violin the Adept. This Tide Shaper doesn't get any better than it is right now, and the Silvergill Adept is fine just to cycle next turn or to get a new draw next turn. Recross the Path. This is a dangerous card because it allows him to adjust the top of his deck exactly as he wants to. So we need to force this, which is scary because now we open up his combo. But of course, Recross the Path is just so dangerous because it just makes sure that he can combo off 2 times in a row, molding his top cards. And we have no more force now. Luckily we draw one here, so this is really great. So now we just want to put on pressure and hold up force. And the Benthic Biomancer is really good here because we can ditch it to force. So again, he's on 14. He pays again another Recross the Path. The same situation. He can combo off next turn if we allow him to do that. So we need to force him again. But now we are vulnerable. Now we're open. If he combos off next turn, we can't kill him. We can only go in for 8 damage, potentially 9 if 8 damage, potentially 11 if we draw Lord. And here we're considering, do we need to take it up? And I think actually we do, because we want to make it sure that we can play the Svyelun. The Mutavault is actually a fine play because it just gives us a threat next turn. So he is dead next turn. So we just need to cross our fingers and pray. Finals time. Okay. So we start the final. This game is where Otawara really performed. You should stay tuned for this one. This match was interesting. We play again hum. And it's a decent draw. He shows a Joran. That can mean a lot of things. So here we start by playing the shore. The Otawara is interesting. Let's get a skip ahead because I went to the toilet at this time. So I could focus. Razor sharp focus. Drawing a land is fine. This means that in the dark we don't want to do that. Interesting play, silent clearing. This is an interesting deck. Immediately we know that this is actually not a normal one of the classic Yoran decks. This could be the Orsov value deck with a lot of Stoneforge Mystics and bounce effects. So we want to keep them off the mana, and silent clearing is good to eliminate. So we take that out with Spreading Seas. He immediately finds a Windswept Thief, which allows him to play his Stoneforge Mystic. And this is where it's really difficult, because he starts immediately by finding his... we're thinking, is it complete? What is he finding? He was finding Sword of Fire and Ice, which is like the hardest card to beat. If he ever gets that down, it's so difficult. But the Otawara can actually bounce it, even though the creature is protected from blue. So again, this is where we see that immediately, that Otawara is strong, as it's not a blue card. It's not even a spell, so you can also play it against opposing, what is it called, the 3 mana Planeswalker in blue, white. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so considering what to do here. Playing the Cavern. I'm playing the Svyelun. Again, maybe he has Prismatic Ending, but this is the situation where we need to do something now to get us back in the game. He has a really strong start, and if he starts using a lot of time to kill our Svyelun, he won't get the sword online. If you're just chilled and played an Adept here, for example, to maybe optimize the value of our Svyelun or getting it indestructible, we would have given him a lot of time to to do whatever he wanted to do with all the swords. So he's considering what to do. Long time he's considering. And then he chooses to play the Charming Prince. This is actually an interesting play. He chooses just to do it. I think he's scrying too. And I'm considering, okay, so he don't want the Stoneforge Mystic value. He didn't. And now this means that our Svyelun is up. But of course, 1 mana means that he could have access to Fatal Push. We need to be aware of that. Which is why I think we play this Silvergill at a pre-combat. This would allow us to flash in Trickster. But we actually choose to Tideshipper instead. Maybe we can keep him off white mana. I think that's the play we're doing. We're considering that play. I'm really satisfied with this draw here. We drew the Trickster, which just allows us to be able to Trickster if he plays the equipment and wants to attach it here. That could be optimal play, and then we can tap the Trickster. But he actually plays Skyclave Aberration. This is annoying because this is gonna take out our Svyelun, and we can't really do that much about it, as bouncing it is not gonna give us Svyelun back and just give him another Skyclave Aberration trigger. So good play by him. We wanna, since we have 2 Tricksters, we wanna play it anyways here to put on pressure. He has Island, so the Lord's gonna make our creatures unblockable. And in this situation, didn't drew the land. We wanna keep the Otawara, so we're just gonna play the Master. This means that we can get in for 6, hit him down to 10, and we still have the Trickster open for his activation on the Warren piece, or Sword of Fire and Ice. And of course, the Sword of Fire and Ice is going to be really interesting for him to start getting online, because that would allow him to kill the Master. So we know that that's going to be an optimal play for him, and I think it's the correct play to go for it. But this is where the Trickster is just showing its versatility again. I think he's going to try to put it on this Charming Prince. He's going to tap out to do that. I'm just admiring the old border sort of Fire Knights. Looks really nice. Trickster in, tap down. Now he's under pressure. We have a lot of creatures on. We have 9 damage unblockable, but now we also have the Otawara, which means that we can kill him. Because we can bounce it and then our master will be able to get through. And we even get a 3/3 elemental token. Or illusion token. So we're up a game now. Considering the sideboard strategy. Subtleties against all the creatures is coming in. So it seems good. Vapor Snacks, everything he has is like a come into play effect. So the Vapor Snacks is a bit off. Spreading Seas, again, it didn't really work that game. He has a really solid mana base to only being 2 colors. And we didn't see any, special lands that needed extra, removing. The Force of Negation is also pretty off here. A lot of creatures is engaging his Yorion deck. So we keep in 1 Force just as a miser. That could be fine. And then we try to roll it back. So this game is a really interesting game. And I think actually our opponent makes a misplace here. I think this game could easily have swung differently. But it's tight. Let's see here. We start out by playing the Aether Vial. It's a good play. I think he can... I think this is where I think he Prismatic Ending. Yeah, immediately Prismatic Ending. Another Godless Shrine. So, this is an interesting play. We want to make sure that we can Svyelun on turn 3. It's such a strong card. So instead of playing the Trickster, we see this. So he played the Tidehorse Scholar. Interesting play. This is where the game gets a bit hard for us. We say we can't really subtlety that. Also because if we kill it, we'll get our creature back. So subtletying will be a too big of a card disadvantage. But we know he's going to take our Svyelun out, which of course is going to be annoying. But notice that Tidehorse Scholar is an artifact creature. So this gives us the opportunity of using Skydiver on it. The Trickster is of course not that hot because he knows it, so he won't really attack. And he's considering here what to take, and of course he's gonna take Svyelun. No plays here, we're just gonna wait a bit. This game we were looking into saying the subtleties might be really strong as hard casts. He know they're there, but what can he do? So he puts his Yorion in hand, and he doesn't attack, which is intelligent by him. He know we had the Trickster. So now we're considering next turn. Do we... of course, we're considering Trickster here, but I don't think we want to play that out just in the dark. We draw the Otawara, which is a good draw. Put it at the land. Now we have Salty, but we can also Skydiver and steal his Tidehorse Scholar, which will give us a 2/2 in the process. And this 2/2 is kind of unblockable, because what if he kills it, then he just gets our Svyelun back. So I think this is actually a decent play, but it backfires hard. He plays the Flicker Wisp. Again, old border looks really nice. This is just a rough play, because blinking in the Scholar would be a great play for him, but we can't really subtlety it either. It will just give us... He'll just get it back next turn. We can hit him for 4 down to 16, it doesn't really matter. So I think we actually allows for this to happen, but I think it's so strong. I think we, considering subtletying it, we actually subtlety because this is such a strong play doing this. And now he puts it on the bottom, which is interesting. Vial is a bad draw. We don't want to throw our Otawara out to play the Vial, so we just hold up subtlety. Mystic? Yeah, of course we need to subtlety that one. It's just such a strong play. He can find the complete or anything, and when that down, we are pretty pretty bad shape. So we subtlety that, and I think actually the subtlety of the Flicker Wisp might have been too greedy because this backfires hard. We do this also because we knew he bottomed the Flicker Wisp, but there was a reason why he did that. He had another one. The Flicker Wisp comes in. This is just really, really strong for him. Not only is the Svyelun gonna be stolen back from us again, he's gonna retain the Tighthole Scholar now. He also has this 3/1 flyer, which suddenly can block our subtlety, which was one of our game plans, and we drew a land. So we are so far behind at this moment, even though on the board we have 2 flyers, but both flyers are just pretty bad shape. He has a Yorion in hand, which allows him to do even more crazy stuff. And we know that the Stoneforge Mystic is coming back. We can play the Vial. Might as well get it out there. And now we're sitting with 1 Otawara in hand. We hit in for 2 with a diver he didn't block. He plays Solitude again. Pretty strong. Considering here what to do. He's gonna Solitude our subtlety. We choose to bounce it to our hand. This is where we're just so far behind. It's like, what can we do here? He goes in for 5. Just gonna hold up subtlety. And now we can... The diver can of course block one of his threats. He don't want to attack with Scholar still. He knows that we have subtlety on hand. He doesn't know about the Lord of Atlantis. He plays the Stoneforge Mystic. We just need to do this again. Stall him out of it. And notice 2 cards in hand. We know he plays the other Vial, so we know the other one is a Yorion. Now he Fields of Ruin our Mutavault, which is also a decent play. So now he has Yorion in hand, with all these comes to play effects, including Solitude, which is insane. So now he chooses to attack with Solitude. This is his first mistake. Why would you do that if you have Yorion online next turn? So we of course need to trade, and I think we just want to double trade just to get as many creatures off the board to diminish his value on the play here. We draw a Mutavault here, which is not a good draw. We play it out, but doesn't know about the Lord. So we say maybe we can get lucky. Maybe he'll do a mistake. Maybe he'll attack with the Tighthole Scholar, which allows us to block with a Mutavault. And what happens here is that I think he draws a removal spell, which gives him the incentive to put pressure on. He puts, but I think still this is a wrong play. He attacks. We put in Mutavault, and we want to go to blocks before we cheat in the Vial Lord, cheat in the Lord from Vial. So he drew the Solitude, which was an insane draw. But anyways, what does that mean? Well, it comes down, it targets a Mutavault, and we haven't gone to block steps yet. So he should have let us block first. Now we can cheat in the Lord, and we can block the Tighthole Scholar, which will give us back Svyelun. So he actually allowed us to get back in the game to get in for 2 damage. This is such a greedy play. Now we have Svyelun online. We can even cheat it in with Vial. He has Yorion and Solitude, which is not bad, but we just want to make sure that we get everything right. But he knows we have Svyelun again. And notice what he does now. I think this is so insane. We should never have been in this game at any point. He attacks in. We put in Trickster. Just want to make sure that Svyelun has the best opportunities to get us back in the game. And he allows us to trade off the Solitude, which again I think even throwing it down there and blocking with Svyelun would have been fine. So we're considering, does he have Fatal Push? Should we wait 1 turn? But we can't sit around and wait. We need to take the chance. And luckily he didn't. So now we have Svyelun online against his deck. So suddenly we're back in the game. I think this is actually crazy. This is a great draw, and this is where Otawara really shines. It's been good earlier this game as well, but again, look how great it is now. Now we can protect it. It only costs 3 mana. We play a land to showcase that we drew one, which is gonna signal that we are annoyed about our draw. Now we can protect everything with Otawara. We can protect our Svyelun. We didn't want to take it up yet. No reason to do that because we played double subtlety already. We had the Silvergill Adept. He cheats in here. What's this? Let's see. It's a Wasteland Strangler, which is gonna take one of our cards from exile, put it into our graveyard, and give a creature -3/-3. So this will do that Svyelun is a 0/0, and he can block it. Pretty good play by him, I gotta say. So there's two plays we can do here. We could either put in the Ether Vial, copy the Svyelun, so we have a new Svyelun for the Mimic. But that would be a pretty dangerous play, as he could have a removal spell, removing that and killing our Glasspool Mimic. So we choose correctly to Otawara our own Svyelun with the Ether Vial online, which means that we can actually cheat it in again. The good thing about doing this play is that it also means that we can play the Silvergill Adept and get a new draw, because we can then, of course, show the Svyelun. We couldn't do that before. So here we saved our Svyelun with Otawara. I'm just gonna say thumbs up Otawara. Two great situations, we used them here. And we know he still have Yorin in hand. He's not done yet. Finding a card with Silent Clearing. Putting down another Evil. A Charming Prince. Blinking the Wasteland Strangler. Again, great play. Now we can take out our Silvergill Adept. It comes in end step. And we're waiting for him to target the Adept, and then we're gonna put in the Trickster. I mean the Svyelun, of course. Lord was a great draw from Adept, by the way. Now we can double Lord next turn. It's not unblockable, but it means that the Svyelun is indestructible and has 5 power. And we know he has a Yorin in hand. Adept is also a decent draw. Now he's on 10. We drew a Tideshaper. Considering here, should we play the Tideshaper? Or should we have it for subtlety bounce? We choose to keep it for so we have the subtlety up, because we want a Glasspool Mimic at some point to copy the master. Notice here his Ether Vial goes to 5. This is scary, as this means that the Yorin is not able to be countered or, interacted with subtlety. He also top decks a Charming Prince, which is a great top deck. And he can take up that Wasteland Strangler again for the end step. And it comes in. Exiling my last card take my last card from exile, putting it in. He didn't know we had the Glasspool Mimic, so this is where he goes for the master, and we can trick him in here, getting that up. This is also great because this allows us to be unblockable with a Tideshaper. But now, because we still have a master now, because we covered it with Glasspool Mimic. We go up to 4 on the Ether Vial because we had the subtlety. We drew the Adept. We can just as well play it before combat to get maximum information. We can show the Tideshaper, and the Tideshaper is going to be good here because the Tideshaper will allow us to be unblockable. So we put in Tideshaper, take out his Godless Shrine, makes it into an island, and now we have 7 power unblockable going, and he can go down to 3. So again, great play. Again, I just gonna reiterate, we should have never been in this match. If he didn't give us back our Svyelun, have you noticed how much value we got from that Svyelun? It drew us like 5-6 cards. Puts in Yorin pre-combat, which is weird because he can't block anyways. But now he can remove the Charming Princes and the Wasteland Stranglers. And this is where he does a really big mistake again. Notice here that he should have taken out both Charming Princes, which gave him life and scry effects. Please you couldn't, because now when the Wasteland Strangler is going to come in again, he's thinking he can kill the Master of the Pearl Trident, but we have no more cards in exile, so it doesn't work. He's still going to target it, but it's not going to work. The 2 Charming Princes would have been better. Then he could scry 2 and get some life. But again, he's in a rough spot at this point. He should have won this game a lot earlier. He actually tried to take out the Tideshipper, which is gonna be kind of the same effect, but I understand why. So he had 1 turn. He gotta answer the Master or the Tideshipper. He has 4 blockers. If he can answer one of those 2. He's considering what to do. He's gonna play in a Flicker Wisp. And he concedes. So we did it. We managed to win. We get the trophy, and I got a drawing from my daughter. Really beautiful. Mange tak. So this was amazing draw, amazing deck. You can see it here. It performed really well. Just gonna say that consider playing this next time you go to a tournament. If you wanna delve more into it, I like the strategy where you try to have as much value of interacting with your opponent early, trying to disrupt them. Disrupting them by spreading seas, by Tideshippers is actually strong. A lot of greedy mana bases out there, and I think one of the keys to beating the Death Shadow decks with Ragavans especially is that they have a really greedy mana base. Playing the Croxa from graveyard can be so difficult. So I like right now to go the spreading seas way, to have 8 effect of that kind. This main deck is really lean. There's nothing here that's too narrow in usage. I used to play with Tideshippers. Harbinger of the Tides, and the one that taps down a red or green creature. But those cards are dead in some matchups. We don't really have dead cards. Of course, Vapor Snacks can be, but it can still protect our own creatures. Or rebuy an effect if we want to do something like play down another Trickster or something. So the Vapor Snacks is still decent. The Force is always going to be able to hit something. So this is actually a pretty lean main deck. The mana base is of course a bit rough sometimes, but it's just never always going to be that, because we want to play all the 4 Muta Vaults. That's why I also only play 1 Cavern. I don't see that much counter magic at the moment. So I go down to 1 Cavern, I play 4 Muta Vaults. From the sideboard, I put in a Brazen Burrow just to get more interaction, and I like that change. The subtleties again are totally amazing, but I want to keep them in the sideboard. Sometimes they can be too risky to have. They'll be too high costed against some matchups. And again, the counter spells is gonna be good sometimes. It wasn't that performing today. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're gonna enjoy more of my content. I'm gonna put out more Merfolk videos in general, and this was just a great start on this type of deck. I'm preparing for a live tournament which I'm playing in a week, and I think I'll be bringing this list definitely. But I'll put in some more modern leagues from on YouTube later on. So have a great day, and if you want to check out more content, I'm gonna put in a video for my 4-1, which I done, which was a live video, which I recorded a couple of days ago. So thank you for watching.